For this homework, we had to talk about movies and documentaries and an interview that relates to how data nowadays is collected through the new technology. This topic, at least for our generation, is kind of not recent because we grew up listening from all parts that companies steal data from us. Sorry for that, that's my dog. Um, how companies steal data from us, how all these big corporations just gather information and stranger danger. It's a very common phrase, but it also applies on the internet. How we are not supposed to share everything that we live. How we are not supposed to fill every single gap on, for example, Facebook that asks us where we live in, where we work, and where do we visit from vacation and all that stuff. But however, for other people, for older generations, this topic is kind of recent. For example, from our parents, this topic is something that they cannot completely understand. However, with these documentaries, for example, with terms and conditions, we can see that many people, even though they do not completely understand, they are aware of how we are treated with companies in terms may apply. We see that we do not read all the terms and conditions that are in the things we buy and stuff. And an example that they said was that a company, I think it was a video game one. For one day, they said, we will gather every soul and we sell out when you agree. Many people agreed, so they, as a joke, put an online page saying your soul is now mine because you signed my contract. Now, this is very funny because there was another example that I read a while ago, and it was that a company established in their terms and conditions that someone can win a car and some other stuff if they just write the conditions and call a certain number that was there so they could claim the prize. I think it's very funny how all this topic develops and how this just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. In other, for example, in the interview, it is talk about big data. Now, I studied big data, but in a mathematical point of view, how it helped us instead of doing bad for us. Because the more we have, the more precise we can be. However, in the ethical point of view, that means that we have to gather a lot of personal information from a lot of people so we can be more precise on how we can apply these things to adverts and advertisements, sorry, and all of this stuff. That is also talked about in the social dilemma, how if you are in the internet, you are susceptible to be just with a lot of information that you may not want, but unconsciously you do want, because the AI, it is programmed so good that you just know that it knows what you want. And for the last, I saw The Circle, a movie starring Emma Watson, and I think it's very funny how it develops, how setting aside all the things that happen in the movie, how we can see the character just having a breakout point, how it started just like a good person and then just getting deteriorated, and how at the end it just collapses and has this insane idea that makes the movie like take a twist turn, and I think it's something that I really like talking about. I don't personally like this topic. Well, I kind of do. It's something that interests me because it's, well, I mean, I spend a lot of time on the internet. Easily 90% of my day I spend in front of the computer or in my cell phone because my activities are there. But I think that it's something that most people are not aware of, and if they are, they just ignore it. For example, I had this friend that uses a lot of Google Maps because she had to move a lot, and someday a person said, you may want to use another app because Google collects your data and sells to another buyer. And she said, well, I like a lot Google Maps, so Google can sell my information all they want because I'm very satisfied with the service. So I think it's very funny how, even though we are aware of how we are treated, just the product is so good that we sometimes do not care. Also, something that makes me laugh a lot is the time I was active on Facebook was when I saw just mostly of grown-ups, like adults, post on their profile. I did not consent Facebook the use of my photos or something like that to their personal to their benefit, and I just found it hilarious because I mean even though you posted on your wall, even though you said that you do not consent Facebook to use your data and photos and stuff, when you log in, when you create an account, you already accepted that you consent Facebook to and Instagram to use all that stuff. Um, Now talking about the websites, the laws. I think it's not that. I mean, it's interesting how to develop laws regarding information online. Uh, the topics that they talk and the 20 laws are kind of like general, but I do like want to talk how it develops. For example, because it was back in 2017, how now in 2020 we have the Lay Olympia, how it affects now all of us that are online, and I think that's a great step how we develop just more laws to protect privacy because privacy is not. I mean, the moment you are on Google Chrome and Firefox and all these websites, you are not private. I mean, unless you either use a VPN or you go through the dark web, the privacy is something that you do not have, and I think that's something very interesting. And that's all that I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you so much.